In this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the game, what I liked, what I didn't like, looking at the starting lineup, and looking at each performance player by player. So be sure to stay tuned to see if maybe you and I share the same thoughts. I'll start by saying that Venezuela did not come prepared for this game. It really seemed that they had no idea what they were doing on the field, from the defensive standpoint to the attacking standpoint. Even though Rondon got a couple of chances, he wasn't an overall threat all game, and defensively we always managed to find some spaces to filter through balls or play down the width. So I think that Batista made a huge mistake with the lineup that he did. And then, to be honest with you, at this point, I really think that if they don't beat Peru, he's most likely going to get sacked. And I think that the style that Ecuador brought out made things 100 times worse. I was listening to Becachese speak earlier, and he was saying that he likes to have multifunctional players. And that was evident because toward the end of the first half, you have Ordóñez almost scoring, pushing all the way down to the opposing team goalie box, almost scoring, and I don't think I've ever seen him do that for club. It's kind of like we got the impression that everybody was a threat on this Ecuador side. It could have came from Plata, Vitek, Janet, Franco, Caicedo, not only in it, So that's something that I really enjoyed seeing. It shows that the boys have a high level of chemistry, and at this point, I mean, they've been together for so long that, it's kind of like it's about time. Because normally when you kind of play this game of trying to have different players play different roles and try to cover one another, it might add confusion, but with Ecuador, it benefited us. Early in the first half, I was seeing an Ecuador that was still trying to get settled, get comfortable in the game. Plata was trying to do some 1v1s and they weren't going his way. I think that there was a moment of confusion between Corozo and Ener Valencia. You have also long balls that were kind of off target, and Franco's telling everybody to just calm down. But I think the second that Ecuador started realizing the type of game that Venezuela was playing, which was a not so intense one, they were giving away spaces and they didn't look confident on the field. That just gave everybody the boost to just play better, and it led to us getting better plays done. You have one that was from Caicedo to Stupinian to Ener that could have ended in the goal. One from Vite to Ener that could have ended in the goal. So easily the first half should have ended 3-0. For the second half, I had anticipated Venezuela try to go more on the attack. And luckily, they actually gave us a through ball, which led to a 1v1 with the goalkeeper for Ener, and he scored. And that most likely threw them off completely. Naturally, toward the end of the second half, we started getting tired. We also had players at risk of missing the next game if they got a yellow card, like Caicedo, Franco, and Torres. So that only allowed Venezuela to be even more dangerous. Becachese then went on to make substitutions to try to keep Venezuela in their own half. He put in Yeboah and Mercado, who I personally don't think ended up playing the role that maybe Becachese envisioned. Yeboah, to my opinion, was trying too many 1v1s. Mercado, like previous games, just didn't seem to collectively click with the rest. I think in one of those you saw Plata just completely take the ball away from him as he was trying to dribble or the ball was close to him. And seeing that those substitutions weren't enough, Becachese then went on to add Kevin Rodriguez to the attack and try to be a burden to the Venezuelan defenders. And toward the end, we got that late extra time Venezuela goal that I think could have been avoided. I don't think that we were focused enough. That second post should have been covered, and if it would have been properly covered, the Venezuelan couldn't have done that header that would have led to that halfway bicycle kick. And that completely changed Becachese's plan. He then went on to make additional subs, adding Castillo and Mendes to the game to just completely be defensive. And like I said, luckily this was toward the end of the game and we didn't see them having to suffer too much longer. Now looking at the individual players of this starting lineup, Galindez was once again key for us, and I think Becachese even said that he was very upset to lose the clean sheet streak that he had with Ecuador. But he did save us. I mean, this game could have easily been a tie. And then you also have Ordóñez, who, again, I personally saw a side of Ordóñez I've never seen. Like I said, making those runs, being very involved in the attack. I think that he does need to work on his role in the attack. I mean, I know he doesn't do it in club, but if he's going to continue doing this for Ecuador, it's not that he had a bad performance, but if he is going to continue doing it, it would be good for him to have a little bit more clarity on how to transition into attack, how to involve himself into the attack. Torres and Pacho had the kind of performance we all expect them to have, very solid in the back. They weren't put up with too much for the most of the game, but during the end, when they were probably tired, they got bombarded with a whole bunch of Venezuelans in the attack. And I think that, for me at least, I was thinking that out of all the players that were going to get yellow and miss the Chile game, I thought it was going to be Torres at some points, because at some points it seemed like he was probably going in a little too hard. So, but either way, I'm happy that he didn't get a yellow. Pervis also had a fantastic game. He was solid in defense, and I really want to highlight his partnership with Goroso, the way he coordinated with him, who goes out wide, who goes in the middle, and when to make those moves to kind of throw off the Venezuela defense. And in the midfield, we had Franco, Vite, and Caicedo. Franco doing a fantastic job where many Venezuelans probably thought he was going to stick more to the middle. He made those runs wide, and he provided crosses, he stretched out the field. Vite offering that creativity that this team needed in the midfield, almost assisting Valencia, and just being an option in the middle, being dangerous in the middle. Caicedo being defensively very good. There was nothing going through him down the midfield from Venezuela. In the attack, we played with Plata, Ener, and Janer. Like I said before, in the beginning it seemed like Plata had a slow start. Things weren't really going his way. A few off-target touches, failed 1v1s, but as the game progressed, in one of those plays I saw him just nutmeg a Venezuelan, and it was just great to see, because it reminded me of how he first started with his national team and caught the eyes of everybody. Janet had his first start with the national team, and he's played for the national team before, he scored for the national team before, but he's never been consistently called up for the national team. And I think overall he had a good performance today, especially with that partnership with Pervis. Also, he was a handful for the Venezuela defense, and for it being his first time starting and not always called up, I think he made a huge impact. Usually that's not the case with everybody. I mean, we've had people that have been consistently called up, and you put them in as subs, and they get lost in the field. You know, they don't really make a big impact, and that wasn't the case with him. Lastly, we have the GOAT, the MVP, Ener Valencia, who scored the 2 goals and gave us the 3 points. And I know some people are going to say, but he also missed a PK, and he also missed some opportunities that should have gone in. And I mean, you have a point. I'm not going to argue on that. But for Ecuador, at least, he has been the only one to be consistently scoring. So he deserves the MVP, and it is what it is. I'll close off by saying that I think that overall Ecuador played the game they were supposed to play for the 90 minutes. It was very unpredictable what they were doing, and it really threw off Venezuela's plans with what they thought they were going to receive from Ecuador. And like I said, I think we were also lucky to see Batista not put in the best team I think that they probably could have. From the first minute, we just saw a very weak, a very unconfident, slow, and unfocused Venezuela. But again, that doesn't take away from what Becachese did with his team, which I would say is the best Ecuador we've seen all qualifiers long playing at home. With Chile in mind, I really hope that Becachese works with our defense to be focused throughout the whole entire game. That goal that Venezuela scored could have been avoided with proper coverage. So just remaining focused despite it already being extra time, and also to work on being more clinical in front of goal. If we would have scored those opportunities earlier in the game, we wouldn't have suffered so much at the end. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and comment what you thought about the game. Did you agree with Becachese's starting lineup, with the subs that he made, and what would you like to see versus Chile?